injunction against workplace harassment.
That's right.
And the way I read the definition of employer, Mr. Rodriguez does not fit. He's certainly capable of and able to take out an injunction against harassment against himself, for himself.
Except that Abraham Rodriguez is the commander of American Legion Post 7, and
He's
as
not-
such,
Yes, but he's not his employer, he's not an employee of,
no, but it is the place where Abraham Rodriguez goes to do his work as the commander, and as such, it is his workplace. Technically, Mr. Cruto
Does
is
he get
not
paid?
an employee,
does
but
he get paid? Does he get paid?
neither one of them gets paid.
No. Why doesn't he just get an injunction against harassment for himself?
Because we tried that route, and because there's not more than one incident, Judge Riojas dismissed, and so we filed workplace harassment because it's one single incident that occurred on September 13th.
Well, I do believe the law has changed now. Now it is just one incident.
As to the workplace.
No, as to injunction against harassment used to be two, or zero.
Well, then Judge Riojas should have granted it at the last
That
hearing.
wasn't, it's only been in effect for the last couple of months.
Our last hearing was approximately 2 weeks ago in front of Judge Riojas in courtroom number 9. We would have sustained and held our burden of proof if Judge Riojas had applied that standard, Judge. And he wouldn't allow us to amend the petition in court.
To add other allegations.
Well, when he said it wasn't going to sustain the petition because there wasn't any more than one, then I said I would like to amend orally the petition to make it workplace harassment. He said, I'm not gonna do that, you have to go down and refile. So that's what we did. We refiled and made it an injunction against workplace harassment instead of just against Mr. Rodriguez.
Mr. Croto, how do you pronounce your last
Croto,
name?
Your Honor.
Pardon me?
Croto.
Croto. On the issue of whether or not Mr. Rodriguez is an employer, what do you want to tell me?
I'm a volunteer, he's a volunteer. I have served on the executive board of American Legion Post 7 and have brought the issue of the complying to the bylaws and the rules of the operation of the post. Mr. Rodriguez is a volunteer, and I am really discouraged that we've come to the courts after expending all of our opportunities within the structure of the American Legion to deal with it according to the bylaws. And time ran out, and so Mr. Rodriguez took out this action against me to use the city courts to do what he couldn't do within the structure of the American Legion. I have brought up the issue of
That's fine, I don't want, I'm just going to hear a legal argument right now, so I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
How does the post govern itself?
I'm not gonna say that I'm an expert on the corporate operation of the Post, but there is a membership, and the membership is guided by the board, the executive board, and the commander is the commander and the head of the executive board. But Mr. Rodriguez doesn't make decisions about how the Post proceeds. The executive board and the membership does. Mr. Rodriguez is basically the messenger or the mouthpiece for the membership and the executive board. But part of Mr. Rodriguez's duties include paying the bills, taking liquor deliveries, food deliveries, running the day-to-day operations of the Post, paying the bills, the things that are needed to do when you have a building that needs to be maintained and a business that needs to be run. It is a business. It may be a volunteer organization, but you know, they have bills, they have expenses, they have income, they have well, I don't know, do you have employees technically? Yeah. They have I think maybe everybody there, except for a few people, are volunteers, but there are a few employees. So it might be kind of a hybrid workplace, but Mr. Rodriguez does need to be at the post to run the post, and at some point in time, Mr. Croteau filed an injunction to prevent Abe from even going into the post and doing his job, so, it's unfortunate, I agree, that we have to be here in the city court, wasting time and resources to resolve a problem that really is intra or interpost, not a part of the public domain, but here we are.
Well, the definition of an employer is in an individual, partnership, association, or corporation, or a person or group of persons who act directly or indirectly on behalf or in the interest of an employer and with the consent of the employer. Employer includes the state, political subdivision of the state, and any school district or special district. And I don't see an American Legion post fitting in with the definition of that.
Well, it is an association, Your Honor, but if you don't want to make this a injunction against workplace harassment, I would move to make this an injunction against personal harassment against Mr. Rodriguez. Be nice if we could do that without having to refile, but I'll defer to the court's discretion.
Are you gonna present evidence that Mr. Rodriguez is, went to the board of directors and they agreed, or a vote was taken of the membership and they all wanted this to occur, this filing?
The incident which occurred was a alleged assault threat against Mr. Rodriguez while he was at the post. There has been membership that voted to have Mr. Croteau suspended from the post, but I don't think that's what we're here to talk about, Judge. We're here to talk about one singular incident on September 13th of this year.
I understand, it's just that I don't know if I can get to the facts of the case because of the definition of employer.
Well, if you don't think we can proceed as an employer, we can still proceed with an injunction against harassment against an individual if the court is willing.
I'm not aware that I can do that. So I am, and I'm not even sure. You know, unless the membership, if the membership has voted to suspend Mr. Croteau, then it seems like there are other avenues you can take to make him not be at the post.
Well, he is under an order of suspension right now,
Okay.
and I believe I have a document that Mr. Croteau wrote, where he admitted that on March 5th, he received a certified letter stating that his suspension had been extended to 1 year, which would be March 4th of 2024, Your Honor.
Like I said, I don't see this as the American Legion acting in its corporate capacity.
Well, Abraham Rodriguez is also present in his own right and his stead as an individual and not just as the commander of American Legion Post 7.
I just don't see that he is acting on anyone other than himself.
That is correct at this point, Your Honor.
So,
The threat occurred in a workplace, but the threat was against Mr. Rodriguez as an individual.
but I don't see the American Legion as a workplace, at least as it involves these two gentlemen.
So are we gonna be able to proceed with Mr. Rodriguez as an individual, or do we have to go down and refile an individual injunction against harassment instead of workplace harassment?
They'd have to refile, yes. I think this has all been, yeah, we can't do that at this point. So I am going to dismiss the case. Mr. Patel, that does not mean that whatever limitations you have with respect to the American Legion are gone. If you have been trespassed from the post or suspended or whatever they are, that's a separate issue. That does not have anything to do with this action.
Yes, sir. I question the statement that I was suspended for years, not correct.
That's fine, I don't,
Okay,
I'm just saying that the dismissal of this does not remove any sanctions or, directions that the American Legion Post took with respect to your membership and your ability to be physically present at the post.
Very good, sir.
We're gonna go refile with you as an individual, like we did the last time. Yes. We have
The next one is Mr. Tato against Mr. Rodriguez. I can see why your order wasn't approved when you came in, Mr. Coteau. Your allegations are is that Mr. Rodriguez is filing injunctions against harassment against you. And that is not harassment under the statute. He has every right to avail himself of the courts and file these actions. That's not harassment. It's not a threat of physical harm or threat to damage your personal property. I'm gonna not issue the order in your case also. Thank you.
Your Honor, when will the written orders be ready?
We will give you copies right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.